Hey everyone, Mike here, Rusty Garage and Homestead. Welcome back to the channel. It's almost time for us to start disking so we can get all the wheat seed planted, but I've got two pastures, one down by the cemetery and one down by the barn that have 12-foot gates on them, or had 12-foot gates, and my disc will not fit through there. And I really don't want to hook up to our small 5-foot disc because that takes forever to disc with that thing, and it's really not heavy enough to really cut anything up. So today, I'm going to remove one section of fence, and then I've got some pipe to cut down by the barn and get that section removed out. I'll just take Tiny with the forks after I cut it, and I'll pull everything up out of the ground, go put it in the scrap pile. And the pasture that goes to the cemetery, I'm just going to steeple the fence to the cross fence that's there and cut that fence out of the way, and we will get it rebuilt before next spring and put a new gate in there. The old gate that was there got torn down and it's broke, so it needs a new gate anyways. But this is the disc. It is 13 foot across. It's John Deere brand. It's got a hydraulic cylinder up here to pick the axle up, and it does a pretty decent job. I bought this disc from some friends that bought it at auction several years ago, and we've been using it ever since, and it works great. Anyways, let's fix these openings so we can get this bigger disc down through these other areas. Okay, here's the first opening. It is 12 foot right across here. That's the old gate. The hinges broke off of it, old galvanized gate. So what we're gonna do is come right up here to this cross fence, and I'm gonna steeple the fence to that cross piece there, which that pole is pulled that way. This whole little section probably just needs to be replaced. But for now, to get us by, I'll just put staples on this, then I'll cut the fence right in through here, and we'll pull all this up. Then here soon, I'll buy a new gate. I'll probably get a 16-foot gate to put across here so we don't have to worry about anything being tight anymore, and we'll get all this repaired. And if you're wondering if the calves are still bawling and the mamas are still crying, well, I'm sure you can hear them. Okay, well, it does look like part of this is steepled down here at the bottom. So I'm just using 1 3/4 steeples. That's more than enough to hold this. This whole thing needs redone. Okay, well, this will hold it for now. And I'll end up cutting this wire back over here so I can wrap it around and rewire it back to this fence. But like I said, this H-brace has fallen down. All this fence really just needs ripped out and replaced. But a lot of blackberry bushes and briars growing up in this fence over here, so it's gonna be a little bit of a chore to replace that one. That one might just have to get ripped out with the dozer and redone. All right, that's all steepled up. So I think what we'll end up doing is coming over about 16 foot from that opening and setting another H-brace there, and then maybe putting a cattle panel up across here temporarily till we can get all of this fence ripped out and redo it. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and just cut it here on this side of the T-post instead of pulling this T-post. There's no reason to come here and wrap around just yet, because it's all gonna have to get redone. Is that what I want to do? So the bad part is I'd rather just unhook the fence from everything and pull this fence out and roll it up and then cut off what I need. But this fence has been here so long, I know that bottom wire, it's going to be so intertwined in the grass and probably down in the dirt. I'm probably going to just bend the heck out of all this wire whenever I go to pull it up out of there. And it's got some issues anyways from cows and everything else running into it. I'm going to do that with the barbed wire though. I'm just going to unhook it back here and not cut it. The fence, I'm just going to cut. This gate's been 12 foot, so to get to 16, we're gonna end up being somewhere right in here. So the new H-brace is gonna go over here. We'll see. I'll go ahead and cut the fence here, then pull this H-brace out. That'll be more than enough room to get the disc through. Then we'll worry about what we're gonna do here later. Tiny should be able to come in here and yank this up out of the ground. Should. We'll see. Here's the other opening that we gotta widen up. From that hinge point to the barn here is 12 foot. So the disc is 13. This little stub fence needs to come out. The gate that used to be here has been broke for a long time. We've just had this cattle panel up here, so I'm gonna cut it off. And then this little stub fence, I'm gonna cut it off right alongside this pipe here, because the bottom of this, I'm sure you can see it's all rusted out anyways, all down through here. So this needs to be replaced anyways, and no other reason for it to be here because we don't have the original gate that was here to begin with. Now this little bit of property here is my aunt's. I already talked to her about cutting this down and she's fine with it. So removing this so I can get the wider disc through here is just gonna make my life a lot easier when it comes to disc. This field isn't that big, but it's good enough for the cows to stay on for a few days and get it all eat down. You see the roads way down there, and there's a fence here, but I can do this whole lot here and get it all planted in wheat. And that other opening we just widened up, I can go from here. See that white fence, that pipe fence all the way down there? That's a cemetery. I can go all the way behind this barn, clear over into here and up through here. So this little patch opens up a good little bit to be able to plant for the cows. So I think first here I'm gonna take my wire cutters and go ahead and cut the little bit of wire that's on this, get it cut out of the way, get that hinge or that old gate, which is just got barbed wire or wire wrapped around it. So I'll get that stuff cut off so that's out of the way. And since I'm not at my house, I didn't want to bring my welding trailer down here and use a cutting torch to cut all this off. So I had a couple options. I've got a battery powered DeWalt 4.5 inch angle grinder that I can put a cutoff disc on, but these pipes are over 2 inch, so that's going to be a little bit of a pain. And I didn't want to deal with the smaller cutoff wheels. So my next option was to fire up the JXWVU power station. And I've got a big grinder to do some cleanup with, another grinder to do some cutoff. That's a 6 inch. So that'll make this a whole lot better. Plus I'm curious to see how well this thing works running this grinder. Okay, let's turn this thing on. Still sitting at 95% from the last time I used it. I still have not charged it. Get one of these plugged in. Turn the AC port on. It's on. Fans are firing up. Now it's been several weeks since I used that thing. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it right up here. But when I stopped using it, it was at 95% and it has been sitting in the house for the last couple weeks and it's still at 95%. So let me get these wires cut, then I'll get my safety glasses on, some gloves and earplugs, and we'll get this pipe cut. That's unhooked. I think that's all of it. Yeah, there's nothing down here. This thing is destroyed anyways. I gotta pick it up with a tiny. It's really gonna rip it apart probably. That's okay. Okay, and all this is just wrapped around. It's intertwined with this fence. So I'll unwire what I can. There ain't no telling how many years ago this was installed. I remember being a kid and it's always been here. This was my grandparents' house, which they've both been gone for a good while now. They're some good people. Let's start whacking around on these pipes, I guess. All right, the little power station's still working out good. I'm gonna keep y'all updated the more I use it, just to see how well it actually is doing. You can see that thing's at 92% now. So it used 3%, cutting those 2 small pipes and those 3 big pipes. And this grinder, let's see how many watts it pulled. On that initial start, I seen over 800. Then once it got up to speed, it got down to 300. I'm not sure exactly what it was while I was cutting, while it was loaded up, because I had the camera facing over there instead of the power station. But I will use it again here in just a bit once I get tiny down here and get all this stuff pulled out. I've got my 15-inch grinder with a flat disc on it. I'll go ahead and knock all these rough edges around there so nobody cuts themselves if they get up against it. So let me get my mess picked up here, then we'll go get tiny and we'll start pulling this stuff up out of the ground. And this stuff's probably going up to the scrap area. I've got an old fridge and some other appliances that need to go to the scrap yard. This stuff will just go over there with it until I get a pile worthwhile to take to the scrap yard. Or unless scrap jumps up in price, then I'll make a trip just for the fun of it. How do you guys roll up your power cords when you get done with them? I started putting mine in knots several years ago, and it actually just seems to work out good. It's strange. You put your extension cord in one big knot to keep it from getting all knotted up. They take up a lot less space, they roll super easy, and they're fairly quick to tie up. I know there's some people out there that use like reels, stuff like that. That cord that's it now. Now whenever I get ready to use it, grab this end that we're plugged on, and it'll just start unrolling itself. Super easy, super quick. Do any of y'all use the same method, putting up your extension cords, or what do you use? Or how do you do it? Leave a comment. And a lot of times when I get to the end, I'll just loop it back through, and it can hang itself. See? Takes up very little space. You just toss it around. You ain't got to worry about it getting in and out that way. Okay, I did have a little bit of a brain fart. This wooden H-brace here, I broke it off. That's fine. But I've been using the forks to try to get down in underneath it and pop it out. And I basically was just drawing a blank, but I have a backhoe right here. So let's use a backhoe and rip this thing out. Oh, we need some rain. Okay, it's broke off. Okay, I'll bring the bucket down here later, finish smoothing that out. It's broke off below the ground, so it's good enough. Let's go get the that last metal brace, the one we cut off, and we'll be done. All right, well, I tried picking up on that one a minute ago, and it wasn't having it, so probably gonna try to just push it over and then we'll pick it up. Okay, well, I may have broke that one off too. Yep, that rotten pipe just gave way. Okay, well, that's this piece. Okay, let's dig that last one out. Okay, you can see, got some concrete down there, and then this pipe, where it was all rusted out, it just kind of ripped off. So we'll get that dug out. Alright, well, the bottom part that was concreted in and broke, I just pushed it off down the hole and buried it. It's going to be fine. That was the end that was rotten, that was close to the ground. Let's go ahead and take this up to the area we put all the scrap and dump it off, and I think we'll be done. Alright everyone, that took way longer than it should have. I honestly figured those H-braces would pull out of the ground a lot easier than they did. End up breaking the one, you say, well, I ended up breaking both of them, but really thought the hardest part was going to be cutting the metal pipes, but it turned out to be fairly simple. So anyways, those are out of the way, and it's widened up now, so I can now fit the disc through there. So I think, it's close to being noon right now, so I think I'm going to go ahead and start discing. That's going to be another video for you guys. But if you enjoyed the video, give the video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.